talk about the deck list that I took third place at a 29-player RCQ. I was probably primed to win the whole RCQ as my first competitive event back to Magic, but I punted against Spirits due to lack of repetitions probably. I thought the Snow Spirit that levels up was sorcery speed. It's instant speed. Starting off, for Soulscar Mage. This card's just mid. We don't enable Prowl slot in the deck. Not to mention, it doesn't work with some of our best cards in our finisher, Torbrand and Kumano. So, when it's bad, it's mid. When it's good, it's insane. Next, Eidolon of the Great Revel, 4 of. I don't know if I mentioned, but I started a little bit before Theros Block when I originally started playing Magic, and I really like this card. When you play Kumano and then curve into the 3/3 Eidolon, it's really hard for a lot of decks to out that, especially when Rakdos is sitting on 3 Bone Crusher Giants. Speaking of Bone Crusher Giant, 4 in my deck. This card's really good. There's probably arguments to like cut one of these for another card. We'll talk about that later. But this card makes mulliganing not near as bad. I like it a lot. Kari Zev, Skyship Raider. I have not piloted this card a lot. Just coming back to the game, it's what got me my loss in round 1. I ended up losing round 1 to Mono Green Devotion and then winning out for first seed. And I played Play with Fire the Elf, turn 2 Kari Zev. And then on turn 3 I figured why wouldn't I want to play another one of these and swing with it on turn 4. And as soon as I cast it, my opponent was like, trigger, and I looked down and was like, you're correct, this is a legendary. Had I played the Eidolon in my hand, the 2 damage was so relevant because he played an Old Growth Troll the next turn that it would have been enough for me to close out game 1 and maybe take the match. Goblin Chain Whirler. This card's really good. There's a lot of elves in the meta, like Llanowar Elves, Elvish Mystics, Lovestruck Beasts. And with Kari Zev, there's an interaction where people will try to block her forgetting she has Menace, but they'll still block, so they'll block the monkey, and then you just play this post-combat and clean up the X3s. Super nice. Monastery Swiftspear. Like I mentioned with Soulscar Mage, there's not a lot of way to enable Prowess to like carry the game like it should, so she's just pretty mid, and if you're going to play a mid 1-2, you want it to be a Soulscar. Rampaging Ferocidon is just the alternative to my Swiftspear. I wanted to have main deck interaction for Angels, never saw it, but like life gain is just terrible. Torbrand, I think most lists are playing 3. I'm playing the Hazaret. I never got to play this card in Standard, so I just wanted to slot it in. Not to mention, this card is super good. It finishes games all on its own sometimes. Maybe it's correct to play 3 because you do want to curve into this, like this finishes games so easily. Kumano Faces is definitely the best card in your deck, probably. The best red card to be printed in Standard in a while. When the games where you see this versus the games where you don't are just completely different games, and curving into this is just insane. Play with Fire. Like I said, I started in Theros Block, so I've cast a lot of Shock in my day. I've also cast a lot of Titan Strengths in my upkeep to line up draws. I like the interaction. This card's super good. Really good flow, really good art. Lightning Strike. I really like this art. I started in Theros Block. I like this card a lot. Sentimentally, I like this card a lot. I've cast a fair bit in my day. Plus, it's also just Standard. It's the only game 1 interaction for Greasefang. Going on to the lands. Crucible of Defiance. This card's just pretty mid. The most I think I've done is channel it for 3, and otherwise it's just a mountain usually. The 2 spirits came up one time, but they got solved real quickly. 3 Den of the Bugbear and Testing I was playing for. I didn't like it because there was often times where I was trying to curve into my 4-drop, and this would come into play tapped, or I would be trying to draw a land to finish it on the stack with Ramu Napa Ruins, and this would be my 5th land, and I have to pass or not finish the game. Speaking of Ramu Napa Ruins, this card's pretty insane. I can't count on one hand the amount of times since I've been back to Magic that this card has finished the game on the stack. It does exactly what you want to. Sometimes I open double these in the early game and it's really painful, but I usually don't end up losing those games. 15 mountains, I think that's pretty standard. Let's move on to the sideboard. My meta is mostly like Rakdos and Control. So we have like one roast. I never saw it. It was subpar. Soulseer, just for Shieldred. Gets rid of Indestructible. Instant speed. Greasefang interaction on the play. Furnace Punisher. This card's really good. This card's really good. I like this card a lot. Rampaging Ferocidon, just for life gain matchups, for creature matchups. It's really good. Rolling Vortex, like I said, a lot of control in my meta. I oftentimes like to stomp on their turn because it's really good counter bait to make them tap out on their turn and then resolve this on my turn 3 with some sort of 1-drop. And usually wins me the game. Weathered Runestone. The Creativity deck had just won the Pro Tour, and I didn't like Greasefang. This hits both of those. This stops Mono Green Devotion from casting Storm. Super good. Super good. I like this card. Rending Volley. Card is pretty insane. I like the 4 of. I punted against Spirits, but I still almost won game 2 because he was playing super passively and I was representing this. And the namesake of the channel is just talking your opponent out of their wins. They had lethal on board, and I just kept representing that I had Rending Volley. And I was bluffing with 3 mountains in hand. And if he would have passed for the 3rd turn, I would have ripped a Goblin Chain Whirler and won the game. That's the 75. I felt really good about it. Like I said, I was probably primed to win the event, but I punted. I feel like this deck is super punishing if you misplay. But it's not bad. I like it. I do appreciate the support. Thank you for watching. If you want any other deck lists on the channel, I can probably get it.